this. Okay, let's go back to the previous slide, which is the book. A couple of weeks ago, my daughter brought our grandchildren across to see us, and I thought I would like to show the new book to my 8-year-old grandson. Right? As you do. So I handed him the book, and he looked at it very thoughtfully for a few minutes, and then he said, Grandpa, what's theology? Because it does say Theology and New Materialism. It wasn't the question I was expecting at all, but it's absolutely spot on. What is theology? And inevitably, when somebody asks you that question, you can't think of the instant answer. 2 weeks later, I know what I would say. I would say that there was a guy who was teaching when I was a student 40 years ago, called John Reader, and he wrote a book called God Talk. So, instant reaction, if you like. Theology is God Talk. But he's right in the other sense as well, because when you look at that title, it says Theology and New Materialism. That begs the question of why there should be any relationship between those things at all, whatsoever. What's the point of doing this? And I suppose I would argue that theology could and would and will change now as a result of an encounter with and in the light of new materialism. So that theology itself will develop and change now as a result of this. Now, that's, as Chris said, not just because I like obscure French philosophy. I do like obscure French philosophy. However, the motivation behind this has been the same, really, for the last 30 years. And that has been my conviction that the game changer for theology is concern for the environment. That's the baseline for me. So, over 30 years ago, we set up an environmental project when I was a parish priest in Shropshire, and some of you parishioners know now that we're thinking of doing something similar again. But to me, unless theology adapts, changes, and speaks to that situation, then actually we're not up for this, okay? So the motivation is a practical one, an ethical one, and a pastoral one. So that, for me, is what is behind the concern with new materialism. Okay, so I'm aware that there's a lot of terminology in this. It's an unfamiliar terminology, so I was trying to think of a way of actually describing what new materialism is. And the first way of doing it is to talk about what it's reacting against, what it is, if you like, an alternative to, or even in opposition to. So here you are. Okay? What's that, folks? It's a tree. Excellent. Very good. Okay, what sort of tree? Anybody know? It's an oak tree, indeed. So I thought I would choose the most iconic, if you like, English, British tree, as I understand it. Roxton School yesterday got this right. They knew what it was as well, so that was fine. Now, what I've done to illustrate this is to take an idea which comes from, I won't say the Bible, but one of the first important books which is behind new materialism. And again, unless you've read this stuff, there's a book called 1,000 Plateaus, which was written by Deleuze and Guattari, okay? And they use this image of a tree to describe the way that we now think of the world. And you may not think that you think this way, but once you start pondering, hopefully you'll see that they're right. And this is what they're bringing into question. So, for instance, we use the phrase, who's at the top of the tree? Right? So if I was to ask you, who's at the top of the tree politically at the moment? Don't laugh. Why did you laugh? Who's at the top of it? Think of, yes, that's right, DUP. Yes, we've got that one fine. That would be my answer as well. Okay, that's an easy one, right? Who's at the top of the tree in terms of the Church of England?
The Queen.
The Queen, yeah, that's right, that's true. Yeah, the Queen is the head of the Church of England. If it was not the Queen, you might say the Archbishop of Canterbury. Yes, that's true. That's right. Okay. Parishioners, there's quite a number of you here. Who is at the top of the tree in terms of the ironstone benefice then? Very careful how you answer.
The ladies' guild.
Not me. All right. You may think so, but there you are. But, I mean, whatever sphere we're operating in, whether it's work, whether it's the military, whether it's political, whether it's the church, we have this idea, if you like, of a hierarchy. There's the top of the tree, and then we work down. And it's this that's being brought into question. Now, let's just take it a bit further. So you're pushing a model here. All right, so you're pushing the theology forward. But in terms of theology, say, who's at the top of the tree? God. Okay. Who's on the next rung down? Sorry, who's on the next rung down? It's not a trick question. Yes, you'd probably say Jesus, wouldn't you? Yes, that's true. Okay. We're not going to go through the whole Trinity thing. All right, I know we're in Trinity. The next rung down is, well, that's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I would think most people would say the next rung down is probably human beings. Yeah, you with me? Human beings, next rung down. And the next rung down, therefore, is, yeah, and the next rung down is, okay, all right. So you see, we work, or we might work, with a hierarchical model of the way the world is, what philosophers would call an ontology. Now, as I said, my motivation and my belief is that that model is actually at, here's the phrase, the root of a lot of the environmental problems that we have got. Because you see, human beings, as the next rung down, are the ones who have the power, the right to dominate, to order, to structure, if you like, the natural world. And that's, I believe, where we get ourselves into trouble. I'll come back to that. So, theologically, and in other ways as well, if you use a term such as transcendence, transcendence is going right through, going up above, all right, going beyond. That's one of the questions, what happens to that? You have this idea of hierarchy, you have this idea of management, you have an idea of structure, of order. You go from one point to another, so it's what you would call a linear progression, upwards or downwards. There's the phrase, the great chain of being, for instance, that's around in some circles as well, so that's familiar. You also might have the idea of human beings in charge of, and therefore there being some sort of telos or purpose for creation. So everything is going upwards or downwards. All right? Okay? So that's the model that's being used there. Right. So let's find, if I can go in the right direction, an alternative model. Tell me what that is. Some of you know the answer. Tell me what.
A rhizome.
It's a rhizome. Thank you. That's precisely what it is. Which are not roots. Okay. These are not the roots of a plant or a tree. This is what is known as a rhizome, and Deleuze and Guattari use this language as providing an alternative. So everything that the previous model was, this is not. So rather than going upwards, if you like, being transcendent, it's on a level. It's on a level plane, or playing field isn't the right way. It's interconnected, it's enmeshed, it's entangled, it's complex. There's no sort of one point where you can say that's the top of the tree. It doesn't work like that. It's a different model, it's a different way of understanding it. And this is what they are arguing is now an appropriate, if you like, conceptual framework for understanding our lives and our world as it is. So, when you try and answer the question, who's at the top of the tree politically at the moment, it doesn't really look like the tree, does it? It looks more like that, which might be a good thing or a bad thing, but that's closer to it. I was thinking about a book I read after 9/11 about the new terrorist networks. They're networks. You can't find one single point, cut it off at the top, and the thing is gone. It just reproduces itself, it keeps going like that. I would say, actually, that a lot of parish life is like that. It's networked, it's complex, it's a rhizome in that sense. So we work together, hopefully, we're collaborative, we're all in it together. Do you see there's a different model there? And rather than the hierarchical model of bishop, priest, deacon, that's what I would call every member ministry, collaborative ministry. Okay? So you get the sort of picture behind that. However, I've got to watch the time. That's the sort of material that I've been trying to use in this book. And I've used the work of authors who've gone back to Deleuze and Guattari, but developed their work further in interesting ways. But just before this one, I was co-author of a chapter in this book in the same series called Religious Experience and New Materialism, which came out about 18 months ago. And I co-wrote a chapter with a guy called Clayton Crockett, not David, but Clayton Crockett from the States, and we talked about environmental. But in that book, there are significant criticisms or concerns about weaknesses of using this approach theologically, which you might have thought about. And they're focused on, first of all, the issue of transcendence, secondly, the issue of human agency, and then thirdly, concern about is there any political purchase of this approach at all. So what I'm trying to do in the new book is to address those questions, and some others as well, but using other material that I developed with Chris and a guy called from Tom James in the States, that we call, sorry, here's another term, I haven't put it up, they're called relational Christian realism. Okay? And that was in a book that we produced 2 years ago, Chris, didn't we, called Philosophy of Christian Materialism. And I hope that using some of that material and supplementing that alongside new materialism, I've been able to actually address those questions. Now, there isn't time, but hopefully panelists might pick that up, or you might want to pick it up in questioning, to know in detail how that works, but that's just an overview of the whole thing. That's what I was essentially trying to do. So it is, if you like, going back to, which way am I going? That way. Going back to grandson Finn's initial question, what is theology? I would be arguing now that theology looks different as a result of this encounter, not just because of the practical and the pastoral imperatives, but because of the conceptual framework, the new way of looking at it. Two final things I must not forget to say. There are a few other people working in this area. One of them is Catherine Keller, there, whose name you see, who kindly met me in Oxford a few weeks ago while she was here and wrote that endorsement. She's coming at it from the angle of science, particularly quantum mechanics and quantum theory, and saying you've got similar conceptual frameworks at work here. It's all on the level, it's entangled, etc., etc. But she's using, if anybody's come across Whitehead and process theology, she's coming more from that angle, which is fine. So it's sort of working in parallel. The other aspect of this is that, and again, this is Catherine Keller and a guy called Ishikani, who she's worked with in the States, who talk about, and here's another term for you, the apophatic, which is the negative approach to theology. So there's a limit to what we can know or what we can articulate, what we can understand or expand. And within the book, this theme runs right the way through. This stuff, if you like, is what you would call relational. Okay? It's all to do with our relationships with each other, the natural world, and so on. But there is a danger that if you go totally in that direction, then there's another dimension of things, not the hierarchical, but something to do with the transcendent in some form that actually we're missing out on. And I've linked it with other ideas as well. But I think probably that's enough from me.